Hello, hello, hello everyone. Deanna here. Thanks so much for being here. So today I am going through my January 2023 reading journal. So this is for the month of January of this year, and I am going to go through all of the spreads that I made for the year with the books that you see displayed here on the left of the ones that I read for the month of January. So I love how this looks. I had some fun with it. I used some craft paper for the spot here where it has all these dots, and then I used some other craft paper where I used like actual what's called craft paper, this brown kind of color here, for the back of the books read, and then I used some black craft paper to list out what books I did read. And then I've got my books read here at the top, which I did have in my old reading journal. I would put books read. This time I kind of gave it a little different look. I used to use the stencils all the time, and this time that is just my own freehand lettering that I did with a Tombow hard tip, and then I used a gel pen, Jelly Roll 10, for these words here to write out the books that I read. So I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books in the month of January, and then I've got my star rating and the author as well. So I like that, just being able to see that. It always is nice when I'm just flipping to the month to see what books did I read quickly, how did I rate them, and who wrote them. And then I've got on this page here, which is essentially my cover page for January, I've got a couple stickers that I had from the dollar store, which was just like kind of stickers that looked good with this kind of gold foil that these little dots are from the craft paper, and it says, "Do small things with great love." Plus I've got a quote here because I had all this space right here to kind of fill in. Sometimes I wonder what to put exactly on my cover page, because I've been here and there on sometimes how I do my cover pages for my reading journal. But this year, kind of in the spirit of the Spare book, kind of honor the memory of Princess Diana, I did put a Princess Diana quote which says, "Carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, safe in the knowledge that one day someone might do the same for you." And I like that because it's not about that you are only doing it because it comes around, but you also know that goodness spreads goodness. And so if you are good to others and you are kind to others, then that does spread and that does multiply, and what you do and how you act can affect someone else, and then sometimes hopefully it can come back on you and you can get some of that love and kindness too, because we do unto others as we want done unto ourselves. And so that is something that I live by a lot, so it was nice to kind of find that quote from Princess Diana. And I know Prince Harry kind of mentioned a bit of her compassion and stuff in his book. So let's get into the rest of the spreads. So that was my cover pages here for January. First book, as mentioned here, was The Choice by Nora Roberts, but I actually did the whole trilogy because it is one of Nora Roberts' trilogies. It is the Dragonheart Legacy trilogy, which the book The Choice just came out at the end of 2022. I believe it came out in November 2022, and I did get that read in January because I did buy it, and then it just took me a little bit to get to it because honestly it's just kind of how things went. And then I've got some sticky tape here, some craft tape here. It's not sticking as well as I would love. It does keep coming up, which is kind of annoying, but this stuff here is laying down. I've got craft paper for each one of the trilogies. So even though I read these two sometime in 2022, prior, I believe, like summer maybe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe fall, I read these two, and then I read this one in January. That gap from reading these two and then reading this one was a little frustrating because I don't have these two books. I only borrowed them from my mother-in-law, and then she sent me money. She sent me a gift card to get The Choice for my birthday. And so it was a bit of like that gap. Like I read the two books back to back and then had to wait like for months to read that third book. So I kind of, when I read The Choice, I was forgetting who characters were and things like that. I haven't even done a book review on them because I honestly can't completely remember everything about The Awakening and The Becoming to justify like doing a good honest review on it, because I just feel like I need to be able to reference things and need to be very solid in the reviews that I give. And if it's kind of like just something where, oh, I read it before and that's what I rated when I read it, well, how do I feel about it while I'm doing the review? So I did mark these as 5 stars because I really, really enjoyed them, but then I thought The Choice was a 4-star. There were parts that I really, really loved about it. It was the final conclusion, but it was a lot of telling versus showing. It wasn't quite as exciting, and honestly the most memorable moment to me was one of the scenes that had me very upset and very sad. So I don't know, I think it just ended so quickly that it didn't really give us some of that after that I love to see with Nora Roberts books. I love to see like that little bit of happily ever after and what happens after the fact. We didn't get that as much, so maybe that's partly why it was marked down. But I do like how this looks. I like the title here with my handwriting again, that hand lettering that I did with the Tombow. I like how each of these has its own little card as well. I do wish this tape would stick more, but you know what? It is what it is sometimes, and I do like how it looks at least. So that was The Dragonheart Legacy and The Choice that I read. Then I read Molly's Game. My phone is just blowing up, so I'm going to turn it on silent because it is just, people are having a conversation without me. Molly's Game is one that I do have a book review out for this one, and then I also have I have watched the movie since making this and making that book review. So I'm gonna I really want to come out with my thoughts of the book versus the movie because they were so vastly different in a lot of ways, and I will explore that more in the video that I'm going to put out. So I don't want to spoil too much. I do want to explore that because I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things to say, and just I was kind of blown away a bit by the movie, and I enjoyed kind of how they were very complementary to each other. So I will explore that further. But this book, I did play into the poker part where I have the cards. I've got like the different suits here, and then I've got some little poker chips that I made as well with my hand lettering again. I'm really big on the hand lettering. And then I've got that same washi tape that I used previously. It sticks much nicer here on this page. And then I've just got my thoughts about the book, and I rated this one 4 stars. So if you want to know more about why and see a bit more about this book in particular, go check out that video. But yes, I do enjoy how this turned out because I like how I did those cards and how it all played together. Then one of my favorite spreads so far, I think, just because how great it ties into the actual book, was this spread for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Had a great time reading that book. It was a lot of fun. I love the little elements in here. Like we've got the letters in the background. We've got like the key. We've got a little bird down here. We've got the word bird. We've got the silhouette of like the little girl from like older time period. We've got the camera with Captured Forever. Got the little photo album, and then even this that I had in some craft paper that I cut out and then I hand lettered there. I just thought it looked really spooky and kind of fit in with that Peculiar Children kind of theme. And then I kind of was a little cheeky and just did like a little like Dear Reader and had like a little letter written out on my thoughts. So I had fun clearly with this spread, and I think it kind of shows, at least to me, it very much shows how much fun I had with it, how much it just all like tied together, and this is so nice. And I think that's why it makes it one of my favorite spreads, because I love when I have all the elements to really show off some of the best parts of the book and some of the parts that I loved of the book, and like how it really just shows the elements and the themes of the book very well. So I just had a lot of fun with this one. So that was the Ms. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children spread. And then I reread The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I already read this back in November as a little treat to myself for my birthday, and then it came up in our book club as the book club choice. So I reread it, and this time I reread it and annotated it as well for book club, and I really had a lot more fun with it the second time around, because I think I was just a lot more invested in the story and just was having a lot more fun with it. So I love how this looks. I think it looks really pretty. I had the other one. So I had in my original, my first reading journal from 2022, November, I had The Invisible Life, and I used like the same kind of craft paper for Addie, because apparently that's just Addie. That is Addie hiding her face because we can't see her face. Had a little bit of elements of like the past, because you know the time frame that she lives through and everything, the hand lettering, and then my thoughts. So I had that one from November. So I had something similar here for January, but I think I even like this one more. I like how the title looks even more. It just looks even prettier. So I've gotten better and better at hand lettering. I like how this one, she's a bit smaller, so she doesn't take up as much space, so it gives me a bit more room to have some of the other elements in, like the rating and who wrote it. And then I love, because I had this blank space here, and I put the flower here, and I was like, well, what would I write here? And I thought, you know what, it'll look really nice to kind of match it with the off-white craft paper, off-white bullet paper actually. And I just put, I remember you, because that's a big part of the book, is remembering Addie. So I really loved how this all came together, and I just think it looks really pretty. I love this one even better than my last journal spread. So sometimes if you don't like a journal spread, redo it. Do it again. Have fun with it. That's my advice. And then the next book I read was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and ooh, was this one fun. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun. I have not even done my review on this one yet, which I really need to get to, because it was just such a blast to read this book. I flew through it, and I tried to take some elements, got a little silly here and there, like I feel like but you know what, I loved doing the shoe, because I mean the story of Cinderella is what without, you know, her and her infamous glass slipper. So I kind of tried to portray that glass slipper. I drew this myself. I'm kind of proud at how well I did at drawing that. And then I just wrote again in hand lettering Cinder. I put it on this kind of blue dotted paper against like this blue craft paper that has like some pretty like holographic coloring going on. And then I got some washi tape here in blue, and then more of that same color pattern, and then I've got the metal or cyborg hand, because Cinder is a cyborg. So I just thought it was kind of fun to put those little elements in, and I had some things to say which I will share in a video, but I had a lot of fun. And then I also put like the Cinderella, Cinderella, night and day, it's Cinderella. That was awful, but oh god, that essentially was just in my head, that Cinderella, Cinderella. so I put it there as a little homage to the original Disney Cinderella, at least from the 1950s, and this was, you know, retelling of Cinderella, so I just thought it was kind of cheeky to put that there and then have it separated with the washi tape and all of my thoughts. So I do like how this one came out, even though I'm kind of like here and there on like how I put some of the words here and all of that. I still just love that big old foot coming down. And then I've got the final book that I read for January, which was Prince Harry's Spare, and I had a lot of fun with this one too. I was trying to think of just ways of like how to draw out like, or what to do for the cover page, because there was no way I was gonna draw Prince Harry, because he's on his cover like of the memoir, it's his face, and there was no way I was drawing that and doing him justice or anything. It would have been horrible looking. So I thought, well, Spare also can be a bowling term, and so I kind of put it as like he's the bowling ball with this little crown on there knocking those pins over. So I just thought it was kind of funny to do that, so I used something circular to kind of draw this nice circular bowling ball, because there was no way. I tried drawing it before and it was not as nice and circular, so I did all of this other than drawing that, then I did everything else by hand essentially, and print more, you know, of the hand lettering. Did use a stencil for the word spare, and then I did listen to this by audiobook, so I had to put my little audiobook symbol. And then I had a whole lot to say here, and I had written this out, but it got really cramped and really hard to read, so then I just put it, I took out some lined paper so that I could just write it nicer and have it in its little paragraphs here, some of my thoughts. And yeah, I will eventually have a video out for this one too. Again, haven't really made a video for Spare, but keep an eye out for that in the future, because I'll have that coming soon. So those were all the books I read in January, and this is my February spread. I really like how this one looks. I used some craft paper that I had that has like these pretty flowers, or kind of like leaning more towards the reds and the pinks. We got some like whites coming through there, little, you know, off-whites here and there. And then I used the black craft paper for the book's red, kind of using that same kind of style, except again I used my Jelly Roll pen to write book's red. And then I used my 5 Jelly Roll to write out February, and then I kind of deepened it in some places with the 10 roll to kind of try to mimic a bit of how hand lettering looks. So might not look amazing, but I like it. I think it looks nice. I thought it looked really good against the black and then with that background. And then I've got my page here that I took to eventually write out the books that I read. So hopefully I get some decent books read in February. I've got quite a few that I have bought. I am still plowing through right now. I'm reading through Scarlet, so I'm about halfway through Scarlet. I'm kind of annotating it as I go, because that's the next one in the Cinder story with the Lunar Chronicles. And then I've got the next one, which is Cress. I've got that here ready to go, even though this one's so much thicker than even Scarlet, and Scarlet's a bit big too, so that's gonna be a bit to get through those. Hopefully I can get through these two in February, because I also have my book that I have to read for February, which is, this is my book club read, so just kind of a little sneak peek on what I'm kind of got going on, my plans for February right now. And that's going to be all hopefully captured here with maybe some additional books, because I've got a couple more. So I'm excited. I'm feeling a little bit, you know, more like reading. I have been really loving journaling though, and I've been enjoying just playing with this new writing journal, reading journal, because I think it just looks really pretty, and I'm just having so much fun with it. So that was my January 2023 reading journal with a little sneak peek at my February of what's to come and some of the books that I'm working on. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time.